Welcome, everybody, to the first Empower Good podcast. I'm Neil Mathweg, and I'm joined by Dwight Clough, the founder and leader behind Empower Good. Dwight, welcome to your very first podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Neil. And I am so glad that you're here helping launch the ship. So I'm
That's,
in good hands.
that's exciting. We've been talking about this idea of launching a podcast and interviewing amazing leaders across the country that are doing awesome things to empower good in their communities. And we thought, like, how do we start a podcast? How do we get this going? And in talking about it, we just said, why don't we just hop on and I'll interview Dwight and we'll get a good idea of what Empower Good is and what we think it can do for the kingdom and for helping communities empower more good in their community. And so we thought, what a better way to do it than to hop on and you and I to record together today. I'm not going to be along for every episode. I wish I could, but I wanted to kick this first one off with you and just understand, what is Empower Good? Why are we doing this podcast? And why should people listen? What do we got coming for them? What is some of the exciting things that are happening? So Dwight, let's start there. Why this podcast?
I want to help people who want to make a difference. And it might be helpful if I told a story or two just to give some context to all of this. A number of years ago, I heard a mega church pastor speak. And this is somebody who had started a church and it grew into thousands and thousands of people. And he had this Christian rock star resume. And, there's a long list of Christian accomplishments. And, you would think this is somebody in the kingdom. This is really somebody. Well, anyway, somehow he ended up on the operating table. I think it was heart surgery. And while he was on the operating table, his spirit left his body and he came face to face with Jesus. And in that moment of looking into the eyes of Jesus, he realized that none of it mattered. This huge church that he built, it didn't matter. This long list of Christian rock star accomplishments, none of that mattered. Only one thing mattered. Did he do what Jesus was asking him to do? And at the end of our lives, we're all going to stand before the Lord, and that's going to be the question on the table. Did I do what Jesus asked me to do? And so Empower Good is all about helping people move in that direction to figure out what is Jesus asking you to do and how can we help you do it. And so the Empower Good podcast is just reaching out to Christian leaders who are already out there, empowering good, doing good, who have faced that question, what is Jesus asking me to do? Have found the answer, and who are moving forward with it. And so what we want to do with the Empower Good podcast is just get inside the minds of these leaders and find out what's going on in there and what can we learn from it. How can we benefit from the wisdom that God has given them?
Yeah. So I love this, Dwight, because I see this where, you feel like you hear God's voice, you hear the calling, you know what you're supposed to go do, but it's still cloudy. It's still confusing. Like, how do you discern? And like, what's your advice around that?
Sure. And, one of the things that we're going to be doing in each episode is we're going to be asking that exact same question to Christian leaders. What is your advice for somebody who's trying to discern the calling of God in their lives? And by the way, calling of God doesn't just mean being a pastor, a missionary, an evangelist. Calling of God can mean being a real estate agent. It can mean being a mom. It can mean being an accountant someplace. So the calling of God is rich, and it encompasses every area of life. But I will tell you a little story. Years ago, I had a friend, Mike, and we were just, I had these empower good ideas just floating around in my head. And so I did a course at my church, and actually we called it Empower Good. And Mike, he had a stable government job, and he had some rental properties, but they were in a very kind of rundown neighborhood. An unsafe neighborhood. And when I say unsafe, it was an open air drug market during the day, and it was gangland fights at night. So it was really unsafe. And Mike had this real heart for homeless families. And he thought, well, I want to use my properties as a transitional housing for homeless families. But he looked at reality and realized he couldn't do it because children would not be safe in that neighborhood. So anyway, we did some more digging together, and I worked with him, and we tried to discern, what is God actually calling me to do? And we got into his backstory a little bit, and Mike had some struggles, but he was in recovery. He had been sober for a year, and over time, as we sought the Lord and as he sought the Lord, this beautiful plan emerged that he was going to, first of all, he worked with, there's an incredible story here, which I won't even go into, but he worked with local officials to clean up the neighborhood. So the drug market went away, the gangland fights went away, but then he started using his rental properties as sober living homes for people who are making that transition from addiction to a rich and beautiful life. And those sober living homes continue to this day. And Mike has just made an incredible difference, or God, through Mike, I should say, has made an incredible difference in the lives of dozens and dozens of people that the world would have written off, and frankly, maybe the church would have written off. But he was there answering the call of God, finding out what Jesus wanted him to do with his life and doing it. And as a result, many, many lives have been changed.
I love that story, and I love more stories like that. And I'm excited for Empower Good to share more stories. There's so many incredible people out there doing the work for the Lord, and it's just so neat to see. And that's I love Mike's story. And one of the things that Mike was able to discern, right, like what God's calling him to do, and he was able to with some time figure that all out. How can Empower Good help him with that?
Well, one of the things that we do at Empower Good, and we're going to be doing more and more as our movement grows, is we put people together, and we put people together, first of all, in small group communities so that everybody has somebody in their life who cares about them, who's encouraging them, who's praying for them. And then we're putting people together on a larger platform, a membership platform, where if you need special assistance, you need somebody with special expertise, like maybe you need a fundraising expert. And, part of the calling that God has for you involves raising funds, but you have no idea how to do it. Well, there'll be somebody on our platform, I hope, who will be a fundraising expert. And so it'll be a way of connecting people together. And also, we've developed a number of resources over the years, and particularly recently, that will help people overcome a lot of the obstacles that people have early on in pursuing their calling.
That's great. Now, I probably should have asked this in the very beginning, but who is Dwight Clough? Right? Tell us more about you.
Oh, my. Oh, thanks, Neil. Well, I tell you, this is what I tell people about me. When I was 10 years old, my parents got me those blue Bible story books, Arthur Maxwell Bible story books. And they used to be in waiting rooms years ago until maybe somebody decided that was a bad idea. But anyway, I started reading these Bible story books, and I came across the story of Enoch, the man who walked with God. And I was just captivated by that story. And I decided that that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a man who walked with God. And if I didn't get anything else right in life, that's who I wanted to be. And so that's been my lifelong pursuit, is to be a man who walked with God. And yes, I did go to school to become a pastor, and no, I did not become a pastor. And yes, I have written 35 books, most of them Christian books, and held different leadership positions with churches and ministries. But the key, the center, it's just like with the megachurch pastor, none of that stuff matters. What matters is I just want to walk step by step with God. And I have been married. It's coming up on, better get my numbers straight, 48 years. And I have 4 young adult children. And so I've been really blessed, not to say that I haven't gone through some hard times as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's me.
Now, Dwight, Empower Good was put on your heart. And tell us what Empower Good is and what is the mission behind it all.
Our aim as a movement is to activate the kingdom calling of every single Christian on the planet. And one of the things that I've just been obsessed with over the years is, why is Christianity not having the impact that it could have on our culture, on our nation, on our world? And part of the reason is that 90% of the church lies dormant, that so many people are not tuned in, are not dialed into, you're here for a reason. God has a mission for you. God has an assignment for you to complete before you leave this life. Or maybe they kind of know it, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to build the right foundation. And so our aim with Empower Good is to release that good that's locked up inside God's people. And 100 million Americans have walked away from church, but not necessarily walked away from Jesus. And I want to find those people, and I want to just activate them, just help them find that mission that God has given them, and move forward with it. And so the way we're doing this is we're forming small group communities, and we're actually looking for Christian leaders who are ready to form a small group community, a high trust community centered around the question, what is God asking you to do with your life in this season? And we just talked to a couple earlier today who have a small group community in Chicago, and it's just thriving, and they're just seeing people just move forward, take steps forward in the calling that God has for them. So anyway, it's a small group community, and then the larger membership platform where we're able to make those connections and post those resources.
And if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to start an Empower Good community, I want to get a group together. Like, what does the group look like? What if you already have something going? Like, you're already, starting a group. Can Empower Good come alongside you? And what does that look like?
So that's a fantastic question. Our small group communities are discussion-based discipleship. And so we're looking for Christian leaders who are able to facilitate a conversation, whether it's a one-on-one mentoring or whether it's a small group. But the only requirements are that A, you meet regularly, B, that everyone has a chance to participate. And your group is too large if you've gone 2 meetings in a row and somebody hasn't had an opportunity to participate. And then what we've done, instead of leaving it all to chance, is we have the Empower Good Meeting Guide, which is a 200-page workbook which takes you through a guided conversation with your small group community. And it's very versatile, it's very flexible, you can adapt it to your own unique needs, but it's there as a resource for you to help you move forward with this question. What is God asking you to do with your life? And we work real hard to establish a high trust community and to help people build the right foundation. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people who are going out trying to save the world and not paying attention to building the right foundation. And so we've identified there's three dimensions to your calling. The first is what we call your inner life. And this is our relationship with God. And this is why every day I just take an hour, usually almost every day, just to take a walk with God, just to hang out with God, because I know that that is job number one, that I can't be of any help to anybody if I'm not properly connected to God. And so we help people build that foundation, whatever it might look like for each person. And then the second is your inner circle, your family, the significant people in your life, because God has called you to make a profound difference in their lives. And, it's almost a cliche, the people who try to do these great things for God and neglect their own family, and it just comes back to haunt them. And so we help people build that foundation as well. And then we open it up to the third area, and that is, what is God wanting us to do for our wider world? And what does that look like? Might look like driving down the road, just praying for people as you drive by, drive-by prayers. It might look like how you show up in your job, how you show up, the relationships you build along the way, why you do what you do. It may take on a whole life of its own, a ministry or whatever that God may call you to do. We just see people engage all kinds of creative callings that come from the heart of God. And we're going to be seeing some of those in the podcast that we have scheduled.
So let's put this all together here. So our podcast is really going to be about capturing those leaders so that they're out there in the communities, that are leading small groups, that are leading ministries, that are doing amazing things for the kingdom. And I think as a leader, I love to hear from other leaders. I love to hear what God's called them to do and to see how they've adapted that. So that's one part of this. And then the other part of this is seeing how can Empower Good help you lead your group? How can Empower Good come alongside you and give you a curriculum and give you a study guide that we can march together with and that we can lead a group together with? And then it's up to God, because it's just like the possibilities are endless, and where each group goes and what all happens, that's not for us to decide, right? The Lord's at work, and we're going to get to receive all the blessings of that.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we're going to do for our Empower Good community leaders, for our group leaders, is bring them together on a community leaders mastermind so that they will have a chance to share with one another best practices. If they have questions, they'll be able to ask each other questions. And this podcast I see as kind of the forerunner or a resource for that mastermind, because we can look at best practices of what Christian leaders are already doing for the kingdom, and seeing how can we adapt or adopt some of those things to what we're doing in our group.
It's just kind of like let the cup flow over, right? All the ideas, all the amazing things. And part of one of the things that every Friday I get to meet with a group now, and it's formed into like a leadership mastermind, and it's really awesome. I'm excited every Friday to connect. We're meeting, we're all across the country. Some of them I knew a little bit before we started meeting, but now I get to know them even more, and it's just so awesome to grow together. And that's what, like, it's the getting together, the growing together, that's the stuff that you don't even know how it's all going to unfold. You don't even know what's in store, but it's every time you show up, there's another blessing, there's more for you. And it's been a lot of fun to be a part of it. So I'm trying to just share a little bit of the excitement, because that's what you get to be a part of. Yes.
Something magical happens in groups, and because our Friday group is scattered all over the country, from California to Florida to New Jersey to Wisconsin. We meet on Zoom, and several of our Empower Good groups meet on Zoom, and it's just a way of being able to connect with people that maybe you couldn't connect with if you're meeting locally. Now, we do have a group that meets locally, and that works too. So either plan works.
Yeah, and it's neat too, because if you're already leading a group and you're missing a foundation, you're missing the Empower Good playbook, and you're needing something to come alongside you and help you, that's great. Or if you've always dreamed of starting a group, it's great for that. And I also think of someone too that is lonely right now and needs to get in community, and is maybe burnt out by the church in a way, and is just isolated. And I think Empower Good is going to be great to reach those people as well.
Neil, I don't know what the exact statistic is, but it's got to be somewhere in the 90s. Like 95% of Christians don't have anybody in their life that they can really be real with. And so that's a big part of what we're trying to do with Empower Good, is just create these high trust communities so that people can be honest with themselves and honest with God and honest with one another, without being afraid that they're going to be judged or looked down on or whatever, disrespected or whatever. We're working very hard to make sure that that happens, because growth happens with honesty. Transformation takes place when the real you meets the real Jesus. And we can't do that as long as we're kind of dressing up for God and dressing up for one another.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Now, Dwight, you're listening in on this and you're like, you know what? I want to start an Empower Good group. I want to hear more about what these guys are doing. How do they find out more?
That's a great question. And the easiest way is to go to the website empowergood.com. A video there, and there's links to some more pages with more information. And there's my contact information on that page. So you can get in touch with me, and I'll be glad to help you and just kind of coach you through that process of getting your group started. So,
great.
absolutely.
Can they reach you there too if they want to get on the podcast, if they're a leader and they want to? Yeah.
Absolutely. That
Awesome.
contact info is there. And if you want to be on the podcast, we're excited to welcome you on that. We'll have some questions for you. And if it seems like you're a good fit, we'd love to have you.
That's awesome. And if you have any recommendations for the podcast, if you know an amazing leader in your community that's doing awesome things, please let us know them as well, so that we can get all of those awesome people on the podcast. It would be great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Send them to empowergood.com.
That's great. Dwight, anything else you want to include today?
I think you've covered it, Neil. A beautiful job. Thank you for the interview. I sure appreciate it.
Awesome. Great. This is our first pilot episode. We're putting this out there, and we're excited for the movement. And if you want to join us, please go to empowergood.com, and let's start empowering good together. This will be fun, right?
Absolutely. Thanks,
Thank,
Neil.
thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day.